In ancient Rome, a man was put to death.
Nice.
His name was Tigellinus. And unlike other condemned men who were often given the option of taking their own lives rather than being put to death publicly or with some brutal form of execution, Tigellinus was denied this option. He was forced to watch as his son was crucified. He was forced to watch as his daughter was raped by soldiers. He was forced to watch as his wife threw herself into a volcano, rather than be taken by the enemy alive. And finally, he himself was crucified next to his son. This story comes to us from a letter written by Roman Emperor Trajan to his friend Pliny the Younger, who had governed the province of Bithynia and was dealing with a revolt in the region. And Pliny writes that he heard this story from someone who had actually been there and witnessed it. So if we assume that he is telling the truth, and he did, and embellished this story in any way, it's one of the most horrifying stories I've ever read, and I think anyone who reads it is understandably repulsed by it. Why would a person lead such a horrible life? Why would he live if he knows it's going to end in such a horrible way? Or why would he prolong that life when he knows that it's gone? Cause so much pain to him and those around him.
Well, the Stoics would say that this man wasn't living at all.
Seneca says, "He who has put his life in order has put it out of the control of fortune." That's right. If you haven't put your life in order, then things will happen to you. You'll get angry about those things, and you'll be at the mercy of whatever happens because you haven't put your life in order. But if you have, then you won't be affected by these things because they don't really matter. And that's what we're going to talk about in today's episode. The first principle is from Epictetus. It's called the dichotomy of control. It says, some things are in our control and others not. In our control are our thoughts, emotions, and actions. Not in our control are the things that happen outside of us. So if you can't control it, don't worry about it. If you can control it, do something about it. Simple enough, right? It's easier said than done. How many times do we spend hours or days or weeks worrying about things that are completely beyond our control? Things like whether our flight will be delayed, or whether our boss is gone, yell at us, or whether our team is gone, win the championship. We get anxious, we get depressed, we ruminate, we catastrophize, and it tears us up inside. It affects our health, it affects our relationships. It keeps us up at night. And for what? Because we can't control it. As Marcus Aurelius says, you control your thoughts. What others say and do is their responsibility. So focus on what you can control and stop wasting energy worrying about what you can't. Now, sometimes people ask, what if I could have an impact on that thing? Like, shouldn't I care about that? Well, yes, absolutely, you should care about that. You should be involved in that. But there's a big difference between caring and worrying. Caring means you take action. Worrying means you hope that by worrying, you'll somehow change the outcome, but you know you can't. So stop worrying. Take action. Do everything you can, and then let it go. This is the second principle, which is Amor Fati. Nietzsche wrote this book called Twilight of the Idols. He also wrote this aphorism called Amor Fati, and it simply means love your fate. Embrace it. In fact, here's how it goes. My formula for human greatness is Amor Fati, that one wants nothing to be different. Not in the future, not in the past, not for all eternity, not only to endure what is necessary, still less to conceal it all. Idealism is falseness. In this, too, I mean neither self-deception nor foolish consolation. Much less do I want to say merely that one must not make too hard a face about necessity. On the contrary, I want to express something essential. By Amor Fati, one does not adjust one's head only to a necessary collar, but one's entire being, one's entire will, one's entire character. To love nothing more or less than the fate that has happened to you, to love it on the basis of which you would not change. It's not for all the world even a single dot in it. So let's apply this to Tigellinus and his family. Was there anything that they could have done differently? Sure. Could Tigellinus have resisted the Romans? Could he have gone to Trajan and said, "Don't kill me"? Absolutely. Instead, he chose to stand by his beliefs, by his way of life, and he loved his fate. He didn't try to escape it. He didn't complain about it. He didn't whine about it. He didn't ruminate about it. He didn't blame anybody else for it. He just accepted it, and that made all the difference. Now again, this doesn't mean that he enjoyed it. It doesn't mean that he welcomed it. It just means that he didn't resist it. You see, when we resist our fate, when we resist what's happening, When we try to push things away, we amplify our suffering. But when we accept it, when we embrace it, when we say, "This is my reality. This is what I'm dealing with. This is what I have to work with," then we open ourselves up to the possibility of turning that situation around. When we resist, we suffer. When we accept, we grow. One of the most famous stories about accepting your fate comes from Greek mythology. It's the story of Sisyphus, who was punished for his trickery and deceit by being sentenced to roll a rock up a hill, only to have it roll down every time it neared the top. And so he was doomed to repeat this task for eternity. Albert Camus wrote this essay called The Myth of Sisyphus, where he talks about how Sisyphus is the quintessential absurd hero. Why? Because he's engaged in this pointless, meaningless task that he knows he can never complete. It's impossible. And yet he continues to do it. Camus says that this is what life is like. Life is full of these absurd tasks. It's things that we're working towards that don't ultimately matter. Things that we're trying to achieve that just lead to more problems. Things that we're doing that we know we can never finish. But what's interesting is that Camus says that Sisyphus is happy in his punishment. Here's what he writes. The struggle itself towards the heights is enough to fill a man's heart with joy. One must imagine Sisyphus happy, a happy warrior who does not submit to the yoke of the gods or the fatality of the universe. The one who affirms himself in spite of everything, maintains his dignity in spite of everything. He carries the weight of the whole world on his shoulders, and yet makes his escape from it. He is forever fleeing and forever arriving too late. Yet that is not what Sisyphus thought, you said. But that is precisely what he thinks. He has staked his all on that one throw of the dice. He does not appeal to heaven, and he does not implore mercy. He defies the whole of existence. He is the symbol to the tragic sense of life in the face of a meaningless and absurd world. He too is a rebel like the one who refuses to have escaped, like the one who does not resign himself, like the one who raises his head. In the same way, our whole drama lies in this absurd and futile revolt. That is perhaps the source of happiness, a happiness which comes neither from the gods nor from men, which springs not from the clear light of day, nor from the darkness of night, but from within man, the obscurest and deepest source of all. There is but one truly serious philosophical problem, and that is suicide. Judging whether life is or is not worth living amounts to answering the fundamental question of philosophy. Camus is saying that Sisyphus is happy because he's able to accept his fate. He's able to revolt against it, but he doesn't resist it. And this is what we should do in our lives. We shouldn't resist what's happening to us. We should lean into it. We should find a way to make it meaningful. We should find a way to make it beautiful. We should find a way to make it part of our story. And in doing so, we'll find a reason to keep going, even if it seems like there's no point in going on, even if it seems like the task before us is pointless and absurd. Today, I want you to think of 3 situations in your life where you feel like you've been given a raw deal. Maybe you feel like you've been dealt a bad hand in life. Maybe you feel like you're being treated unfairly. Maybe you feel like you're being punished for no good reason. Write those situations down and ask yourself, what would it look like if I embraced them? What would it look like if I tried to turn them around? What would it look like if I tried to find a reason to be grateful for them? Now, this doesn't mean that you have to lie to yourself. It doesn't mean that you have to pretend that you're happy about what's happening to you. It just means that you have to wake up and take responsibility and realize that this is your life and you've re-knocked on. Nah, be happy if you spend all your time complaining about it. So instead, embrace it. Turn it around and make something great out of it. Thanks for watching. I've been your host. This is the Daily Stoic, and if you'd like to get the most out of your life, don't forget to subscribe to our channel.